In this lesson, I'm going to show you guys how to edit your UVs within the UVW Unwrap modifier. So I got my logo here, and as you can see, it's just an extruded spline, so I want to convert this to an editable mesh. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to apply a checker pattern to it, just to see how the texture is wrapped around the object. So I'm going to select an unused material slot here, which you can see, if it is used, you can see these little white triangles around it. So I'll select the next one, and I'm just going to go to the button right next to diffuse and select checker. Now I want to make the tiling a little bit denser, so I'm going to turn it to 20 and 20 so you can see it in this window up here. And I'm going to drag it over to my geometry and make sure I have show shaded material in viewport. I'm going to close that, and then I'm going to go to the Unwrap Uvw Modifier. You can see it shows basically how it is wrapped around there, and you can see it looks fine on the front face, but it looks a little questionable around the edge, and we'll fix that. So the next thing I want you to do is to open the UVW editor, which is under Edit UVs. To find, there you are. So you can see it's stretched the logo out a little bit, but that's fine for now. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to mapping and flatten mapping, and the default's fine because we're going to manually change some stuff around. Alright, so as you can see, it kind of just lays everything flat for you, but the problem is that it took a lot of these smaller edges and it broke them up into like a large number of pieces, which is what we want to fix. So the good thing about this is I can select anything I select here on my mesh, it'll show me the corresponding one in the viewport. But first, before I do any of that, I want to go to customize. I'm just going to create a quick shortcut to make this process a little faster, and I'm going to go to customize user interface, and then I'm going to go to I'm looking for stitch selected is what I'm looking for. So there it is, and I've already got it set to S. Just create a shortcut for it, whatever key you're comfortable with, and just type it in there and hit assign. So now what I'm looking for is, if you look on the geometry here, you see everything's got green edges, and there's a couple random edges in here. Those are where it's broken apart in the UVW editor. So we want to kind of stitch those together. So I'm going to switch over to edge, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that edge right there, and you see that it's found the two corresponding edges here in the UVW. The Edit UVW modifier map. So I'm going to hit S, and what's going to do, it's going to connect those two pieces. So I'm just going to go in and find those problematic areas and just hit S, and it's going to stitch it together for me. Stitch, stitch, stitch. Starting to look better. Let's change this from, let's go to edged faces here. Then you can also do it vice versa by selecting an edge here and switching over to this viewport and then trying to find it. In this case, that is a nice corner, which I don't want to mess with. That That's fine. So this process takes a bit of time. And you can see that the checkerboard pattern is kind of updating itself as I go along. So that's a good start. Obviously you want to spend some time to get it. Oh, there's a good one. Get it right. And then, you know, what you want to do is you want to start, obviously you want to try and get these all in the same area. Let me do this and turn on my angle snap toggle.
This is Jason.
There.
How are you doing, sir?
And I'm just going to start moving these into empty spaces. Just because right now they're overlapped, so it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Oops.
Okay.
And I'm just going to take time to kind of move these around. So now you can actually see where things are a bit more fall into place a little bit better. You can go farther, and you know, like I said, let's find this on here. So you can see this piece right here. So I'm obviously going to move this back on the grid, and there's a reason I'm trying to get it within the circle. Yeah, let's move you out of the way for now.
Okay. I would have to check with my...
So you can see that it updates here when I'm doing that.
From my knowledge...
So yeah, I'm not going to make you watch me do every single piece, but that's essentially what you want to do. You want to lay them flat, and then when you're done with all that, you know, you can actually lay instead of the checkerboard pattern, you can apply whichever texture you created, or what you can do is you can go to Tools and go to Render UVW Template, and just hit Render UV Template, and you will basically get an image that you can use in Photoshop to create your own custom pattern, right? So obviously with a logo like this, all the sides are probably going to have a similar texture, but you know, if you're doing something like a crate for a video game and each side has a different texture, you can export this UV template and make a custom map in Photoshop.